So in today's video, we're going to learn from my mistake. That is the theme. And basically, I'm going to share an incident that happened recently with my washer dryer combo here. And then in the remainder of the video, I'm going to share really 3 steps that you can incorporate that will bulletproof your washer dryer install in your RV. And so this video is great for someone if you're thinking about adding a washer dryer to your RV, you haven't done that yet, or maybe you already have one that came with your RV, or maybe it was done by the dealer. And so I'm going to talk about some things that you can do to really bulletproof that install to get the most out of your washer dryer, but also if something does go wrong, if some kind of leak does develop, it minimizes the effects of that potential disaster and doesn't ruin your RV with water all over the place. All right, so recently I was doing a load of laundry here in the RV, and about, I think it was 15 or 20 minutes or so into the cycle, kind of right after that initial rinse cycle where it drains all the water, I happened to notice that there was water down here in this drip pan. And so that's the good news. Now, I did a video about a little over a year ago when I first installed this, kind of a review video on the LG Ventless Washer Dryer Combo. This is a condensing model, by the way. But in that video, I talked about how important it is to have a drip pan under your washer dryer so that if something does go haywire, you know, there's a place for that water to go. And then not only is it just a drip pan, but there is a drain off to the side that drains. And so I've got a drain pipe that runs all the way through and goes down below to really about where my landing jacks are outside. And that way, if any water does get in the drip pan, it's got a place to escape, even if you're not around and the water just keeps pouring out, so it's not going to flood your RV. So the good news was that I caught it and noticed that there was water in the drip pan. So of course I shut off the water supply, I stopped the washer dryer. But then as I investigated to try to figure out where was that water coming from, I noticed that the carpet down here was damp. And so clearly all the water was not being contained in this drip pan. And furthermore, the water wasn't draining out of the drip pan. Even though I shut everything off, there was no more water, the cycle wasn't running anymore, the water level didn't change in here, which is odd because I had plumbed a drain out the side there that drains outside. So I began to investigate and figure out what was going on, you know, what was the source of the leak and why, more importantly, why wasn't it draining out of the drip pan? So I'll talk more about why that drip pan wasn't draining properly in the first place, but at the time it was more important for me to figure out where was the leak coming from, where was that excess water pooling from. And remember, I felt some of the water damp on the carpet outside of the drip pan, yet the drip pan wasn't full. And so I figured the leak had to be coming from outside the actual washer dryer itself. Otherwise, it would have all been likely contained in the drip pan there. And what I discovered over here on the main drain, so this gray drain hose is the actual drain hose from the washer and dryer, where it drains all that water during the wash cycle, and this one being condensing also during the dry cycle. But I noticed that there was water coming out of this drain right here. You know, basically it just kind of drops into this PVC pipe and then goes into your gray tanks. And so this was actually full down here and water was overflowing out of the drain, running down the wall, and that's why I was feeling it both on the carpet and the drip pan. The good news is about 80% of that water seemed like it ended up in the drip pan, thankfully, and I caught it, so I was able to get everything dried, you know, no damage or anything like that. But then I began to investigate, well, why was it overflowing from my drain there? My gray tanks were empty, they were open, so that wasn't the cause. And yet water was overflowing out of that drain as if something was backed up. And so what I eventually discovered is, you know, anytime there's a drain, of course, in a house, you're going to have some kind of P-trap or something to keep those sewer odors from coming back up. And, you know, in RVs, a lot of times, they'll use those little air admittance valves and kind of cheat. Instead of putting a vent in, they'll just put those air admittance valves, and it basically lets air in but not air out. And a lot of times that's what RV brands will put on a washer dryer, you know, stack like this for the drain, or sometimes in your vanity sink. But I learned something new is that Jayco actually uses something different. They don't use an air admittance valve. There's not a conventional P-trap, but rather instead they use something called a waterless drain waste valve. And I think HEPVO is what they call it for short. Sometimes I think I've heard it called a waterless trap. But it's different than an air admittance valve, and of course different than a P-trap. But basically it serves the same function as a P-trap without water, and that's why they call it a waterless drain waste valve. And I've actually seen one before on the shower in my bathroom over here, and then another one I believe in the kitchen island as well. And it basically looks like a little fitting that goes in the drain line there that screws on, and so you don't have a conventional P-trap or an air admittance valve. And I never really understood what those were, and now I learned they're called HEPVOs. And so there's another one that's in the vertical position that's basically about, maybe 2 feet down from the start of this drain. So the drain goes straight down, and then there's a HEPVO valve, and it continues on and drains into the gray tank. And basically what happened is, as soon as I lifted up on this drain, this flexible drain hose, the water started draining out. And so I realized at that point what happened is this drain hose somehow got pushed in far enough where it started interfering with that waterless drain valve. And probably what happened is, last time we were on the road, this hose maybe vibrated itself down in such a way that it interfered and caused that drain valve to lock up and not open or close. And so as soon as the washer dryer was on that cycle to drain that water, it basically just filled up that drain and got to the top and started overflowing. And so that was the culprit. That was the first lesson I learned, that you got to be careful that your drain hose doesn't get shoved down the drain far enough where if you have one of those HEPVO valves, which I think they're becoming more popular in the RV industry, that drain hose would then interfere with that waterless valve from opening and closing, and then of course overflowing. And so like I said, I think it happened probably just from vibrations over time on the road, and the hose just kind of worked itself down into the hole and got to a point where it blocked that valve from opening and interfering. And so obviously you can see here, super easy fix. I just put a tie wrap around the drain so that it can't slide further down into that drain and impair that HEPVO valve from opening or closing. So that's a super easy fix, but it's something that, like I said, I've had this set up for almost 2 years, and that has never happened to me before in those 2 years. So it's something new that I learned, and something that was just completely off my radar. So make sure you secure that drain hose so that it doesn't have the opportunity to work itself down too far into your drain pipe. All right, second thing I learned in this whole process of troubleshooting, going back to my incident where I had water in my drip pan down here that was not draining. And remember, I had a drain plumbed off to the side that ran down to my landing gear outside. And so the big question in my mind is, why is this drip pan not draining? So first thing I did is I went outside and I checked the other end of the hose to see, maybe some insects had crawled up in there and blocked it off. Why is that water not draining out of that pipe? I couldn't find a blockage or anything. So that's when, in the process of taking all this out to get everything dried out, I decided, let me just test that drain, that existing drain that I had installed. So I poured water in, and the water just sat, just like it did with the washer dryer when that water overflowed from the drain. So that's when I realized I had a problem. And at first I couldn't figure out why it wasn't draining. And then upon closer inspection, basically I had a flexible hose that goes out the side, and it kind of jumps across here and follows the water lines, the drain lines, and then goes all the way down here to my landing gear. And basically right here, that flexible drain line that I installed to drain the drip pan had the slightest, and I mean slightest, arc where it went up slightly, probably about an inch, and then dropped back down. Well, as you know, it's common sense that this is gravity fed if you put a drain on it. And so even though the drain overall was draining at a lower position, because it had that slight little arc right here where it went up just enough to be above the top of this drip pan, it basically rendered the drip pan useless because of that arc. And so the water was draining through the flexible line up to that little arcway right here, and then the water got stuck and it couldn't go any further because, again, it's gravity fed and the drip pan was slightly lower than that particular point of the hose there. So what exactly am I getting at? Well, when you install a drip pan in your RV and then you have a drain hose, that's double peace of mind, right? You've got a drip pan if any water collects under the washer dryer, then you've got a drain to make sure that water has an exit point, so that if you're completely gone and the water's just overflowing and overflowing, it's going into that drip pan and out of your RV, keeping everything dry. And that's great, right? But the mistake I made was I never actually tested that drain before I installed the washer dryer. So lesson number 2 that I learned is, yes, it is absolutely best practice to put in a drip tray and have a drain plumbed to that drip tray, but you need to test that drip tray, the drip pan, and the drain hose before you put everything in. Make sure that that drain hose is working the way you expect it to. And that's something that I did not do when I installed everything. It wasn't that I had leaks at any connections there on the drain hose. It was that it just had a slight arc that basically blocked off with the flow of gravity, blocked off that water from flowing down to the outside. And so that was the fatal mistake I made. So lesson number 2, definitely add a drip tray, have a drain plumb to it, but then test it before you get everything installed. And so going back to my incident, of course I had to have all of this removed, the washer, dryer, and everything removed so that I could clean up the water, the mess. And in the process of doing that, I decided to make that drain proper that drains out of that drip pan there. And when I first installed all this, ideally I wanted it to drain, towards the front nose here and down to the pin box, which is just below the floor here. And that was really my preferred path because that's, a short path and it directly goes outside there. But I really couldn't get access, and I tried fishing the hose and everything, and I just was running into something. Well, this time I decided to remove the back panel here so I could really see what was going on in the nose there and make sure the drain got installed properly. And so I ended up axing the old drain that ran down to my landing gear here and basically started fresh, did a new drain, this time going towards the nose and draining down by the pin box. So I'll put some pictures up of what that all looks like so you can get an idea. You'll notice something that might look a little bit odd, and that is you'll see a kind of like a vent stack basically on that PVC that exits the drip pan. And I did that really just as an extra precaution to help so that any water that is in that drip pan draining, it's gravity fed, it's got air that it can pull from that's in this whole space here. But I figured that'll help a little bit with the gurgling, to have just another spot for air to get into and help clear that water faster. So that's why I did that. It's really optional. Don't know that you need that, but I figured might as well. But then you can see it just goes out toward the front nose there and then drains out by the pin box there. So this time, learning my lesson, actually tested the drain. Once I got everything all connected and glued together, I actually tested the drain. I poured a couple gallons of water into the drip pan. I had paper towels under all my joints, going all the way out just to see if there were any leaks. And all that water exited properly out of the drain on the drip pan and through the pin box up front. I checked all the paper towels that I had laid out. None of them had any water on them whatsoever under all the different fittings and joints. And so that gave me assurance to know, okay, this time, not only are there no leaks in the actual fittings themselves, but it actually does drain properly. It actually flows through the drip pan because this is the highest point with gravity, and it goes through the drain line all the way outside. So again, lesson number 2, definitely use a drip pan, definitely have a drain plumb to the outside of your RV, but most importantly, test all that before you install the washer dryer. Pour water into that drip pan, make sure there's no leaks coming out of it, and make sure it then does drain properly. So don't make the same mistake that I made. Now, before I share my third and final tip, let me just insert some bonus footage, and this is really for all of my Jayco friends. So when I had this all taken apart and I had access to the front cap, I wasn't real pleased with the amount of insulation that runs across this area against the front cap. And in my case, I had a little bit of a shortage on that piece of insulation that they use at the factory, where I really had some that was not insulated at all. I've always noticed this space gets extra hot in the sun and then extra cool in the winter, and so it was no surprise when I saw that. So I took the time while everything was open and I bought a roll of rock wool insulation. I think it was 50 or 60 square feet, and basically had the opportunity then to line the entire inside of that front cap there. So I mean, we are really good on the R value now, and I think that should make a big difference. But then the second thing I'll mention, and again, this is for my Jayco friends, I added this switch here with a blue light, and I'm really excited about this because what this does is control the front cap light. It's that neon tube style light, and for you Jayco owners, there's a switch outside on the front of your nose, and it's kind of inconvenient because sometimes you want to switch it off while you're inside the coach, but you always have to go outside to that front nose there and switch it off. And so while I had everything opened up, I added this switch in here, and basically it's kind of like a secondary switch. So I kept the switch that's out there on the front nose, and I basically had it feed that power instead of going to the light directly, feed it to this switch here in the closet with this little LED. And so now I can control that neon style light here in the coach in my closet. When it's blue, I know it's on, and now it's off. So again, I kept the other switch there. That's just kind of a handy little tip if you're in my shoes and you found that a little bit of a nuisance. Once you got everything opened up, that's the time to add that switch in there. All right, well, third and final tip, this one's really simple, and that is I added some isolator pads to all 4 feet of the washer dryer. And you know, if you've got one of these LGs or some of the other brands that really get up to speed here, I mean, I think this one goes 12, 13, it might even be 1500 RPMs at the highest speed there. And so even if your feet are perfectly level, you know, it just shakes the RV, kind of more rattles things. I mean, all your windows are going to be going like this the whole time throughout. And in fact, I had to add some little felt pads on the back of all these roller shades to keep things from getting too loud. But I decided to add those isolators under all 4 of the feet there, and they're only about 3/4 an inch tall. You know, you can get really big ones, but I just went with some smaller, low profile ones there. And that has made a huge difference in the amount of vibrations transferred from the washer dryer to the rest of the RV, you know, during that full speed spin cycle. So that's a really small detail, but it's a lot easier to add those isolators when you're installing it, as opposed to coming back later and trying to, you know, get it onto there, especially the rear legs there. Okay, so those are my 3 tips to bulletproof your washer dryer install in your RV. And really this video is almost a follow-up to the initial video I did over a year ago, kind of a version 2 to take it up to the next level. So again, those 3 tips are: make sure your drain hose is tie wrapped so it can't slide too far down. Do use a drip pan with the drain hose, but test everything and make sure it drains the way you expect it to. And then third, use those isolator pads. It'll really help with the vibrations. So guys, I hope you found this video helpful. I will include affiliate links to the different products featured in the description below, so I appreciate you using those. But I'd love to hear from you in the comments below. Let me know what you think. Maybe there's some other things that I'm missing here that I could do to take it even further. Well, definitely let me know in the comments below. As always, thanks for watching.